Us guys, Coach Az here, working with one of my assistant instructors, Ollie. Today we're going to demonstrate the 3 most common mistakes that people make when they're working on the focus pads. Alright, so let's get straight into it. Mistake number 1 is the pad holder doing too much of the work. So what I mean by that is, let's say we're working a jab cross. What I should be doing is giving some feedback to my partner. So as he goes hit, I'm giving some feedback with the pads. But what you'll see a lot of pad holders doing, and I think this is just partly from being on TV, you know, boxing pad work, MMA pad work, the pad holder is doing too much. They are traveling too far with the pad. So they're covering too much of the distance. Remember, it's him that's fighting, it's him that's working. And really what you're doing is you're throwing off their understanding of distance management. So if I'm going halfway on his punch, he's not practicing a full extension on his jab, and he's not getting a feel for figuring out the distance based on him. All I want to do is provide enough feedback that he feels the technique landing. So I don't want to be completely limp, because then that doesn't feel great for him either. But I want to make sure I give some resistance without traveling loads of distance and punching his hands with the glove. So be careful when you're working pads, make sure you're not traveling too much with the hold. The next big mistake is not having any form of a system or a code so that you can do longer and bigger combinations. So what I mean by this is you just simply put up shapes. If I just put up shapes, he can only assume that he's going to hit each pad one time, and what that means is he's always going to throw 2-punch combinations, okay? And that's all well and good, especially if they're a beginner, but there's no progression for that. And if it's always a 2-hit combination, when it comes to sparring, if they block 2 shots and that's all you ever know to throw, then nothing ever follows after. For example, and this doesn't have to be your system, but you can work with numbers. A jab can be 1, a cross can be 2, a lead hook can be 3, an uppercut can be 4. That way, I can actually give him a 4-shot combination at the start by saying 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I get my fighter practicing and working longer combinations onto the pad. And this is really important because, like we said, just throwing 2-shot combinations all the time, it's not an effective way to fight. We need to be able to attack with a higher level of volume. Okay. The final mistake I see people making, and again this is for once you've got past complete beginner, is not incorporating any defense into the pad work. You shouldn't treat pad work as all-out attacking. Although they're hitting the pads, we must always take into consideration the other part of the game. Remember, the game is to hit your opponent, but not let your opponent hit you. Okay, so on the pads, if we're working, let's say a jab cross, that's great. That's him practicing his attacks. But I also want to incorporate some defense into it. So things like attacking him with the pad so he practices his guard. So we might go block, 1, and again, block, 1. Okay? We might also practice some head movement. So I might throw a jab for him to slip and then throw a cross. So from there, it's slip and cross. And again, slip and cross. Okay, so we're incorporating some of the movement and defense elements of the game into the pad work as well. So guys, those are the top 3 mistakes people make when working pad work. Pad holder doing too much of the work, not having a system for longer combinations than just simply putting up 2 shapes, and of course not including some defense elements such as footwork, head movement, and guard into the mix. So make the adjustments to your pad work, and that way you and your fighters will improve that much faster. We'll see you on the next one.